Hi, this is GILA. So, yet more legal madness after the appalling travesty of justice regarding Tommy Robinson, where Dr. David Mackereth from Dudley in the West Midlands, who by all accounts was a fine and well-regarded doctor for the past 30 years, has been sacked because he refuses, as a religious Christian, to accept that transgender sexual reassignment surgery truly changes sex. Of course, his belief is totally compatible with science. While there is a tiny minority of genuine intersex people, usually with genitals from both sexes, you can't change an XX sex chromosome to an XY one. And turning someone's phallus into a vagina does not allow a biological man to have babies, nor, without a continued intake of artificial hormones, to stop growing a beard. However, the ruling by the tribunal hearing his case stated that a lack of belief in transgenderism and conscientious objection to transgenderism, in our judgment, are incompatible with human dignity and conflict with the fundamental rights of others. Now, the Equality Act of 2010 does indeed include gender reassignment as one of the protected characteristics, but it also includes religion or belief as equally protected. Dr. Mackereth's record as a doctor for 3 decades counts for nothing, it appears, because his genuine Christian beliefs that God created men and women to be different and complementary to one another, however sensitive, gentle, and conscientious a person he actually is, prevent him from calling someone who may outwardly appear to be a man, at least originally, as she rather than he. Actually, I might add that the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament, forbids men from wearing women's clothes and women from wearing men's clothes. For good reason. Men and women are different, biologically, hormonally, physically, and even the way in which our brains work. Boys and girls are inherently differently, as any parent knows. Childhood and adolescence is confusing enough without adding to it by trying to brainwash young people to accept definitions of gender beyond the normal too, and which have no scientific basis whatsoever. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a sliding scale of gender characteristics, certainly with regard to personality, and we should have every sympathy for someone who is either genuinely intersex or who, as an adult, feels deeply that they have been born the wrong gender. And having 2 different sexes does not mean that we should treat either sex as better than the other. All people, irrespective of their differences, deserve to be treated with respect and sensitivity. That includes religious Christians too. However, it appears that in our postmodern hysterical society, where the mainstream media is largely far to the left politically and no longer acts with anything close to objectivity, where anti-Jewish and even anti-white racism is apparently okay among some members of the Labour Party, and the only protected religion in practice seems to be Islam, which, alone among mainstream religious ideologies, actually contains some deeply ethically problematic supremacist, hateful, and bigoted teachings. In this society, good people with strong moral values are being discriminated against, and in the case of Dr. Mackereth, losing their jobs. As well as your livelihood, you can even lose your freedom simply for daring to question the frankly distorted moral values of today and speaking the truth, as Tommy Robinson, Jada Franson, and others have discovered in recent years. However well meant the concept behind the Equality Act and others trying to protect people from having their feelings hurt, you cannot legislate effectively against what people may think and say, without creating the very lack of human rights that such legislation supposedly seeks to protect. Ordinary people have become afraid even to express an opinion because it might offend someone who could take them to court for hurting their feelings. Fear can be a very effective control mechanism, but we need to stand up against it for what is right before all our freedoms are gone. It's way past time we threw this ill-conceived nonsense into the dustbin where it belongs. Everything is not relative. Life is far too complex for the blunt hammer of legislation to work realistically without causing enormous problems when it comes to trying to police everyone's different perspectives, which frequently contradict one another. We need to restore common sense values based ultimately on the ethical teachings in the Bible. Law should be based on people's actions, not their thoughts. And the only prohibited speech should surely be blatant incitement and threats to commit bodily violence or murder against other people. So, thank you for listening. Let's hope that Dr. Mackereth gets his job back and that some kind of common sense can be restored to our country before it goes down the pan. Thank you for listening. I wish everyone a good weekend. Goodbye.